I've had coaches my entire life, right? Because like I didn't know anything when I first started, just kind of similar to what you were talking about earlier. But like my coaches have always had coaches. And, like if your coach doesn't have a coach, I wonder, like are they at the top? Are they at the very best? Like I'm under the impression that there's always somebody better. Like who is the better person at X, Y, and Z? Like my coach now has got 4 coaches or 5 coaches, whatever it is. It's insane. But he's so dialed into all of these different things that he's doing. And I respect that because I need to be learning from somebody that's constantly learning the forever changing world that we live in. You can't just coast. You can't coast. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Makers Legacy Podcast. My name is 𝗪𝗿𝗿, where I help makers of all kinds scale and grow their businesses, creating a legacy for their families and their communities through the profit that they make with their hands. Let's get right into it. Today, we got Brandon from the Contractor Coach, all the way from the West Coast. You're in the West Coast or you're in Alberta?
No, I'm in Saskatchewan.
Oh, you are on the East Coast.
Yeah, well, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle coast.
Dude, I guess I don't get out too much, bro.
There's nothing here. Trust me, you're not
missing much. Dude, I think you are the first person I've actually ever even spoken to that's from Saskatchewan. Or, like, I don't think I've ever met anybody from Manitoba either.
Well, I mean, yeah, when you go that far, things start to get a little bit weird. So I have a couple friends that are in Manitoba, but I razz them all the time.
That's so funny.
I'm trying to get closer to Alberta. That's kind of my goal is shift things towards Alberta. I'd love to get to BC, but that's pretty far away from everyone. I actually really like to move to the States, honestly, but anyway.
That's a whole. I would like to kind of dig in deep there because like that's actually a route that my wife and I are on right now.
Shifting to America. Hell yeah! I think that's freaking genius.
That's kind of where I think where our heads are at, man. I think we align best with the Americans. Like I love Americans. Not that I have anything against Canadian people. I have a lot of people I love here. It's just, the way they run things down there, I think is a little bit more my cup of tea.
There's a bigger audience. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you run in a city where there's more people. You got a bigger audience to throw your product at, whatever you might be selling or offering or trying to solve.
It's insane how big, the population is down there. It's nuts to me when I think about it, when I hear people talk about it.
Where would you go? Where would you go?
Well, like my heart honestly is in Arizona. Like Arizona, the desert, dude. I love the desert.
What about what are those scorpion? What do I want a scorpion crawling up your shorts?
That freaks me out. I don't want to think about those. Yeah.
I'm just fucking.
Where would you go, man? Like where would you where's your head at?
I would go to Arizona too. Right now, it's just like I just want to get to Alberta. Alberta's like a poppin' Canadian market right now. They have an entrepreneurial mindset. They have growth. They've got the mountains. I mean, it's just all in all, it's a beautiful spot. If you're gonna land in Canada, it's probably one of the top places I would suggest to go. Like Toronto is just kind of a little bit gloomy. I find it's really gray there, and BC's bright and green, but it's also rains all the time, so I freaking hate that. And so Alberta's just nice because you get like the Chinooks, you get nice weather. And so, if that was my first choice, I'm looking towards Calgary right now. And then from there, potentially teleporting into Arizona probably as well. If it's in the short phase for the first 6 months until I can figure out how to get there more permanently. But it's on my radar. And I mean, everything that's happening politically, both in America and in Canada, is a whole conversation in itself that probably we shouldn't go down right now, but it feels like America's getting their shit together potentially here, and I would look forward to that. So a lot of my customers are also American.
Yeah, same here. I'm working with a lot of guys in the States right now. Also, it's the same thing. That's kind of where my head's at with it too, man. It's like, and you know what? There's corruption everywhere, but it's the people down there that I think I like. I think we align best with them. That's just me and my wife. I'm just speaking from my wife and I, really. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I like that. Well, maybe we'll cross paths in America
Who
one day.
knows? Who knows, man? So let's talk about where you're at, man. So you've been a contractor for 20 years. You said you've done a lot of things. I'm sure you've seen
Yeah.
it all, contracting and stuff. So like, what was it that was kind of your cup of tea back then? Like, what was it that you focused on? What was your niche? Or like, what is it that you loved when you were contracting?
Well, to kind of discuss kind of the industry that you're in, it all kind of started for me in construction in high school. I started building furniture, obviously, because you're in woodworking, and that's what you do in high school is you build furniture, and like the normal assignment was, build an entertainment center, right, or build a coffee table, or build these Adirondack chairs, and like I never built one chair or like one little entertainment. It was always everything was next level. Everything that I did was at a whole another level. Like I built, and I grew up with a single mom who had limited cash, and she just did everything she could to like feed my desire and my passion, which is amazing because like I'm a parent as well, and I know the struggles that parents face, and so as I think about what she's done for me, the sacrifices she's made, it just really makes me reflect on the value of being a good parent trying to help your kid reach their vision. But like I went to her one day and I was like, the teacher, sorry, went to her one day and your son is planning on building a $1,200 material expense entertainment center. Like this is like a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
So that'd be probably like $2,500 right now. And she's like, yeah, no problem. And like at that time, I don't think she had the cash. Like honestly, I don't think she had the cash. But for some reason, she allowed me to build this freaking 1,200. It was basically a 7-foot entertainment center. It had 3 towers, TV, doors, all this shit. And so from there, I just was really into building stuff. And I sucked at building furniture. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I was shitty at building furniture. That was just not my thing. But I was just passionate about building something. And even at a young age, I was building things in my backyard. Didn't have a real garage. Didn't have a shop. My uncle gave me a skill saw when I was like 12. Almost cut my fucking hand off. And then from there, you grow up and you gotta be a big boy. And so I was planning on going to the rigs, and I couldn't get a job. I didn't know how to get a job. Couldn't figure that part out. So I ended up becoming a carpenter at an industrial gas plant, and did that for a couple of years. And just I climbed up very fast in that position. Like I became, a supervisor at a really young age. Didn't really like get the respect from the older people, and then I decided to kind of go on my own. Shifted things, went on my own. And I went from making a shitload of money to nothing. And I was engaged, I was engaged at the time. I didn't tell my fiance that we were broke, like literally fucking broke. And I played in that sandbox for like 5 years on my own, struggling, grinding through this, just like capable of building anything, but not understanding the business about how to run your business, like how to run your business ultimately. Right. And a lot of the people that we coach are in that same position of life where it's just like, they don't fucking get it. I'm good, but why does nobody want me? And so then I started understanding the psychology of the client. And then I got really good at stacking wins and acquiring projects. And then the projects just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And at one point during COVID, I actually started a pretty large nonprofit. We rebuilt 2 families' houses right before COVID, and then COVID shut us down. And then like those weren't like little renos. Like we did, $1 million renovations on these homes for free, and I had the support of the entire community, alongside running all of my other businesses. And COVID came and shut that down, and really made construction a little bit more, I don't know, different, I guess, for me. I was in the position of actually franchising my company for the past couple of years, and the reason I wanted to franchise was because I wanted to provide the same level of experience that I gained through construction with other people, so that it wasn't so hard, and that also would open the door for us to potentially do some nonprofit stuff. And so I went down that path pretty deep. Like, I was into it for about 2 years, building out a construction franchise alongside other projects and whatnot. And I learned that there was going to be some significant liability risks with me putting my name all over everything, having other people build and execute all the work. So it kind of deterred me a little bit in pushing hard on that. And a couple Americans reached out to me and said, "Hey, like, we'd really like to like learn from you a little bit. Like, would you be able to help us with our business? We're going through X, Y, and Z problems." And I said, I mean, I never thought about it like that. I mean, I already built all the systems, so sure, let's jump on a call. And then that's where it started. So probably in about January of 2024, probably maybe even a little bit before that, it started morphing into that. Maybe November, December, I started getting calls from a couple Americans, and then I built the full online digital coaching program from there. And man, I tell you that, like, the reward from helping a contractor go from like a $300,000-$400,000 company to a $2 million company in a short period of time is wild. It's that, and that's the energy that I was looking for through the whole process. And so I'm super happy that I've landed in this place, because it's very rewarding. That's
Fair enough. That's amazing, man. I love it. I love how you say you landed here. It's like that was so much strategic planning, I feel like, in between there. Like, you're doing these little details all the way through the process of like learning how to build a franchise, running the business, the non-for-profit, learning all these new things. And it's like it's like you carved a spot out for you to be there, right? Like, because it's a leadership thing, I think, when you talk about being able to do that and to be able to provide the solutions and the answers for these guys to go from a couple $100,000 to a couple $1 million like that, you're providing the leadership and being like, it's okay to think like this. You're giving them permission. And that's how I'm looking at it. If you're helping these guys, because I'm in the trades too, right? So like I get it, and I see exactly what you were saying, where these guys are so good at what they do, but the business side is like, it's like another language to them, and it's like, if you learn this part here, everything else clicks.
Yeah, and it's quick, man. Like when I went through those 5 years or of so whatever, however long that was, of misery, like, I'm telling you, like, I was puking bile at 3 a.m, stressed out, not knowing how to get my next job, and like pretending like we were fine, and we were like so far from fine. And and that's also okay to go through that. Like, the journey of like winning and losing has to exist at some point at a different level, but nobody needs to experience that level that I experienced, I don't believe. I think that what's really unique about what we're doing in coaching, and why I do it, and probably very similar to you, is like, dude, I've already went through the whole fucking maze. Like, if life is a maze as a contractor or as a furniture builder or whatever you might be doing, it's a maze to figure out, like, how do you succeed in this business? Well, that's like a maze, right? And you hit roadblocks, you hit dead ends, you hit all these obstacles along the way. Dude, I've already gone through the maze on my hands, blindfolded, several times. So, like, who would you want to run with in battle? If we're in a battle now, like, I would take me all day. Like, I'm your best probability of getting from point A to point B.
Well,
110%,
right? It's like having the experience, not because, like, you could talk about just like mentors and coaches, whatever, like broad ones, but when you really dial into like exactly what you've been through or exactly what I've been through, like learning everything, I call it tripping over my own feet. Like, I've tripped over my own feet for so many years. I can now teach you how to not trip over your own feet, because I know what to avoid and what to do to avoid certain pains. And that's like, I fell in love with that part.
Yeah, well, I love what, like I always believe that every action has a reaction, right? And so the action of you teaching someone to go through this maze, for example, or avoiding tripping over your feet, ultimately lands them in a different place of life that you can't actually quantify what it would look like if you didn't go the other way. I don't know.
That was really bright.
Just went. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but you can't actually quantify like what is actually happening, right? And so, I mean, I always look at life as like a path, almost similar to a maze. You're walking straight line. You're faced with an objection or an obstacle or a problem, and it's a left-right solution, right? So you either go left, you get this result, you get this action. You go right, you get this result, you get this action. Teaching people why this way or that way is critical to their journey in success is wildly rewarding. It is so rewarding for me and also for the people that are going down the journey. And it's really hard for them to even imagine what the other obstacle or journey would have looked like because they don't get to go that way anymore.
Right.
And so it's wild.
So it's like you're guiding them through the decision process because you already know what both outcomes look like. And
yeah,
right,
exactly.
How many times do we get stuck in indecision? And indecision is the worst decision to make. Just sitting there, like it's like I got a fork in the road, and all I'm doing is sitting at the bottom of the fork, and I'm looking at that way, I'm looking at this way. It's like just make one. You might as well go down the wrong one, figure out it's the wrong one, go back the other way, and then find out that you're going to make it the right way eventually. Just make a decision and go.
Or you work with somebody that's already made those decisions. You get their advice, and they help direct you. Like I've never had a coach in my life until January when I wanted to go down this coaching program, to be quite honest. Like, it's like, okay, I'm going to do some coaching now. What does that even look like? I don't have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
Like, to be quite honest, all I know is I possess a skill. What do I do with this skill? And when you connect with somebody that can educate you and say, hey man, this is what you're going to do with your skill. This is how you're going to get your skill in front of people. This is the action. This is what you're going to charge. This is how you grow the business. I'm like, oh, fuck, why didn't I do this 5 years ago? Why didn't I do this 10 years ago? And so that's the kind of the reality of what life is like when you're working with somebody that is coaching you. You get to the next level faster, and then you can continue to progress in life.
100%.
Some of the richest people in the world, all of them probably, all have a coach or a mentor in their life, and they've all had multiple different coaches or mentors. All of them.
100%. And like I've had coaches my entire life, right? Because like I learned how to I didn't know anything when I first started, just kind of similar to what you were talking about earlier. But like my coaches have always had coaches. And like if your coach doesn't have a coach, I wonder. Like, are they at the top? Are they at the very best? Like, I'm under the impression that there's always somebody better. Like, who is the better person at X, Y, and Z? Like, my coach now has got 4 coaches or 5 coaches, whatever it is. It's insane. But he's so dialed into all of these different things that he's doing. And I respect that because I need to be learning from somebody that's constantly learning the forever changing world that we live in. You can't just coast. You can't coast.
No, you can't do it yourself. It's world's moving too fast. Yeah. I mean, Elon just landed a freaking rocket. I mean, what is going to happen in the next 5 years will blow people's minds. Maybe 10. But like, you have to be adaptive. You have to move forward, but you cannot do it yourself. Like, you need other people that are acquiring this data so that they can filter it down at your level, wherever you may be, and then you can take that data and roll with it. Because everybody retains information at a different position. Some of the contractors that we coach in our community are doing, 200-300K. Some are doing 5 million. Some are doing 10 million. They're all at different positions of life, and they all require different core values to help push their business forward.
Well, 100%. Like that's kind of like you're meeting them where they're at. And you have to you have to be the adaptive guy as the coach to even see that and be like, you're here, you're there, you're over here, and then how do you work them up to wherever these guys have their vision? Because like it's not like you can just blanket solutions and give the same solution to every single guy. It's like every guy has different outcomes. What they want in life is different. Like you have to create a tailored solution for each individual person and each individual area for each individual outcome, and that's a skill in its own, and that's really understanding who you are and understanding the whole layout of the playing field and being like, these guys are in different spots. You got to create something specific for them.
Oh, when we're in our discovery call, like I can almost within like 5 or 10 minutes, I know where they are within their business, and I can relate. I can rewind, right? I can rewind to that spot in my life where it's like, okay, I'm with you now. Like I was here at this point in your life. This is how we get from here to there. And a lot of people are just like, you can just see their like, oh fuck, like their aha moment is taking place. It's like, I didn't even think of that. You know, like we have these Wednesday Q&A calls. They're kind of just a hot mic where anybody can jump on, kind of say whatever they got going on, and I mean, I'll do my best to try to resolve their question or their concern, or one of the educators that we have in our community if they're on the call. But like, there's random people that just are, you know, or get invited by one of our contractors or somebody within our community, and they'll show up on the call and they'll be like, you know, I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z within my business, and I've been doing this, and this, and it hasn't been working. Like, what do you suggest? And I'll like quickly throw a solution to them. And they're just like, oh, fuck, yeah, okay, I didn't even think of that at all. And they've probably been like stirring at this problem for like 5-6 months, you know, and the lost revenue from holding yourself up is huge. Like 80% of this is actually just being in a position to push forward. 20% of it is just actually having the skill. If you don't push forward and you don't do something, you're just not going to be able to be successful.
Well, 100%, man. It's like it's the old saying, you can't see the forest through the trees. And you're outside, you've got the 30,000 foot view. Be like, bro, I already know where you're at with this. And it's some people, and I really hope that like this becomes most people in the future. But like, we have access to so much information now. It's like there's a guy out there that has the speed, like that you have the answer to give this guy speed. It's like, do you want to work on this solution? Do you want to work on this solution on your own, or do you want to get it done right now, right quick, and then get moving and just continue doing what you're good at? I fell in love with business, man. I fell out of love with my hands on the tools, physically building custom furniture, and I fell in love with the business systems, the leadership, leading a team, running a business, and growing a business, man. Like, I have a whole different outcome like that I can provide for people now. That's from the back end. Like, let me do what I know best so I can give you the tools so you can just move faster, building the dopest, best custom furniture for your clients. Like,
right. And a lot of that happened for you because you stepped out of doing the work.
Yeah.
So what most people can only process, there's only so much time, right, in our day and in our bandwidth. As entrepreneurs, we usually take on more time than most humans are capable of managing. Probably like 50 to 75% more than the average person. You know, like people are talking about going on their vacations and all this kind of stuff, and here we are just like grinding it out and doing things that they're just like, why the fuck would you want to do that? It's like, that's just what we do. But what I'm getting at is like, you know, when you're building a business as a solopreneur, or like an individual, and if your superpower, so that's one of the things that we talk a lot about, is like what your superpower is. So if your superpower was business, but you were okay or good at building, and you've disassociated yourself with actually doing the work, it allows you to now focus 100% of your bandwidth on what you are good at. And so now you take away all these other distractions, right? You jump into this space where now it's just like, okay, all I have to do is focus on the business. well, there's so much more time now in the day for me to actually get more granular with how to improve this. And so I don't know how long you've been just focused on the business and off the tools, but let's just say it's, 5 years or something. If it's that long and you have that much more bandwidth focused on an area, you're allowing yourself to see, a 3,000-foot view of how you can grow this business at another level. And that's the same thing that happened with me. Like I understand that literally everybody has a superpower in business and within a construction company. And I stepped back from doing things on the tools like I can't even remember how long. It's so long ago that all I saw was the business. I didn't even actually see doing the work. I only saw the business component and like the transactional psychology of the client and like all this shit that's happening that I allowed myself to just hyper focus on. And it just creates a different result. And that's what I encourage a lot of the contractors that we work with, is to just step into your superpower, understand what it is, and create distance from these other things that they probably don't provide as much value. They're necessary when you're a solopreneur, like when you're doing everything, you're wearing 50 different hats. But as soon as you can start dropping those hats to other people, it will allow you to just hold one hat, and it'll be a game changer for everyone.
It's like the best fitting hat
in any business.
Yeah, any business for sure. Yeah, and like I think a lot of the challenges that the people that I'm working with right now are trying to overcome is like trying to figure out what that hat that they want to wear is. And like I'm like working with these guys, there's a lot of mindset things that we got to go through. I guarantee you see it too. I mean, the trades are the trades, man. There's a lot of hard-headed dudes here. And you have to like almost rebuild their thinking process around like, this is not just about building anymore. There's like, I used to tell people that building the business was my favorite thing to build in the shop. Like people would ask me all the time, what's your favorite thing to build? It's like, it is the business. I love building the business. And I know some guys don't want to get into that because they love being on the tools. I'm like, yeah, but how much do you actually love being on the tools? Like,
right.
Do you love it?
Right. And so like, I guess help me understand like what is your offer? Like, what do you do for, people that are in that industry? And maybe I can even throw you some, insight just because we're kind of in similar spaces, same, but different kind of in a roundabout way. Like a lot of the trades that I work with are, renovation contractors. They probably wish they could build furniture, but they probably can't. And it's just a different element. Again, it is a very completely different business at the end of the day. But I mean, like, tell me, like, what do you work with these guys on? Like, what is your offer to them?
The majority of what we do is we teach these guys on how to grow organically, because that's what I did best. I doubled down all the time on organic because it was just what I do. It's like my nature to just talk to people and, share what I'm doing. And it's just like, it's teaching the nuances in the way that I was doing the things that I was doing. And on the back end, I'm also providing the tools, the softwares, the CRMs, like the way to essentially maximize everything else that I teach on the marketing front. So we're kind of like creating the funnel, like a big scoop to scoop up all the leads and just kind of keep in contact and do things the organic way. There's a place for paid ads. There's a place for paid marketing and stuff. But a lot of these guys, I find, if they're going right to paid right away, they're missing the majority of what they need to have in place to even take advantage of the paid ads. It's too much too fast for some of these guys that I'm working with right now. And it's like, you guys need to build the foundation first. So we start with that because that's, I think, the marketing part of what, not the marketing, the oh my goodness, totally drawing a blank right now. The mindset part. It's the mindset part that I have to really like deep dive in first to make sure that these guys are willing to like kind of build past just being a furniture maker.
Right. That's very similar to kind of my mindset as well. It's crazy that's so aligned. And that's the first time you've shared that with me, and it's not like this was scripted at all. So it's really unique that you shared a very similar element to what you're sharing with people. I 100% agree that you have got to build an organic process that runs itself. You almost militarize the people that you're servicing, so that they're honestly bringing you warm leads every day. And we're very much the same in the way that we would teach that. I always refer to it as, a tree. Imagine you planted a tree and the root base was, this big little tiny root base, and you're trying to hold up this big tree. Like, right, if you invested all this money in branding, all this money in digital ads, all this money in like exposure, you buy all this shit and you got this little tiny root base, your tree falls over. Right. And what you need is the root has to actually be bigger than the tree before the tree grows. And the root would be ultimately organic growth. You need to, and I always kind of use this word as militarize, because I think about like, the organization of a military. I've never been in the military, by the way, but I'm just assuming it's very organized. Seems like they all got their shit together, right? They like show up, they do their job, they continue, and they have one objective, right? And so if you can take your client, the person you're providing, and turn them into a military styled, executionist for you, to put hey, look at this guy's doing X, Y, and Z. He's building furniture, or he's renovating your house, or whatever he might be doing. You should use him. That is the best referral that you could ever ask for. Having a paid ad doesn't give you any of that landing. It doesn't give you any of that landing room. I also kind of refer to like an ad or an opportunity, sorry, not an ad, an opportunity as an egg getting thrown off a roof. Right? There's this fresh, beautiful egg that just gets thrown off the roof. And if you don't have a support mechanism to catch it, then it's going to break. And if you don't have good, deep roots, you probably don't have a support mechanism to catch the leads as they come through, and they're going to fall apart. So I love that you're approaching that from that perspective. I think that is awesome. And I mean, like, if you're getting pushback where people are like, oh, we just want to like get things going and we want to do this, this, and this. It's like, one of the other things that I never really did in construction was I always tried to appease everyone in my space, right? I always tried to like find a way to help every client. And I probably should have said no to a lot of other clients along the way. And, one of the things that I've learned through this process is like, I'm not fucking around. I'm here to help you. This is the solution I provide. If it's not for you and you're going to challenge me on whether or not it's X, Y, and Z, or whatever if you want a different direction, I'm not your guy. Right? And so we'll just part ways at that point. But at the same time, it's like we need to be super confident with what we're putting together for people so that we can help them deliver success through what we've learned over our lifespan. Same thing that you're doing. Love it.
It's the right way, in my opinion, right? Like when I said earlier that everyone's at different levels, it's like there's a couple guys that I'm working with right now that are running ads and they are working, but it's because we've already built the foundation in their company. They're already known as the person. I call this like being known as the man, right? Like I'm sure over in your spot, like you were known as the man in the contracting space that did this specific type of work. And you didn't start there. You just told me that you started just being the yes man, working for everybody, taking on jobs that you shouldn't have taken on. I did the exact same thing. I was trying to figure it out, and I eventually figured it out. I wanted to do only this, and I was going to get so good at that one thing. And like, not everybody knows that yet. So you got to, like, the different levels these guys are coming into these programs, but they come in being like, I want to just do ads. It's like, you got a lot. You got to walk before you can run, my friend.
Yeah. I love that I didn't expect that we are going to be so aligned with that part of it. So I love that. It's super cool.
It is cool, man.
And I agree. Like, if people come in at different spaces of time, they're ready for ads, or they're ready. Like, I had one gentleman that didn't come through to my program, but had these big aspirations. He was like a $2-3 million company, and he had plans to like build, this $10 million company. And I had a runway. Like, I had a vision, a strategy, and a runway to help him get there. And he's like, I just don't believe you. I'm like, whatever, man. Like at the end of the day, you've literally been trying to do this for how many years already? Okay, 5 or 10 years, and you still don't get it. Like in 5 minutes, I have a runway for you to get from 2 million to 10 million, or 5 million to 10 million, and you don't believe it. You won't spend a couple $1,000s on trying to see if that's going to work. Clearly, you don't believe enough in yourself, and that's sometimes what it takes is like, I mean, I believe over the next 5 years, contractors will really start to value what coaching and mentorship brings to their business, and they will be thirsty to find people like us, because there's not a lot of people doing what we're doing right now. Like there's just not a lot of people.
True.
And the ego that we have as contractors or people in our space blocks us from thinking that there is some better way. And so that's where we're at right now in the industry. It's like, what do I have to do to prove to you that you're going to win? Do I need to give you that? How about I'll give you a $300,000 job in a month working with me. I'll help you get a $300,000 job. Is that enough? At that point, like what does it take sometimes? So that's where we're at.
It's funny you said the ego thing, man, because I kind of touched on that earlier in the call too. Like we have to like reprogram these guys. It's the old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Right. And if you start talking to somebody who's had some level of success and they're like, yeah, but I just want to get to the next level. And I'm like, okay, I need you to prove to me that you're going to be willing to put what you believe. I'm putting these in quotes for everybody that's listening in just audio. What you believe is going to get you to the next level might not be the right thing. Like we might need to go back and just like break some of the stuff that you've built. Break some of the beliefs that I've built and kind of rebuild in a certain way, because there was a certain point in my career where I felt like I built myself into a cage and I couldn't get out of the cage, and it was because I was tainted by certain things, and it was like I needed somebody to kind of show me how to open the door and like be like, there is more to this if you put this and this belief away and we start rebuilding in this area. And I think a lot of that stuff, I guarantee this is with contractors too. I do a lot of renovations for my properties too. So I know a lot of the guys that are in the same spot that are like, I just know a lot of people, right? I'm not training these contractors, but I know a lot of people that just are somewhat aligned in this area. And it's interesting, man. Like the ego thing, it's a sad way to stop your growth, and a lot of the times we don't even realize it. Like talk about that. Like what are some of the things that you're doing with your clients to break them out of the cage that they've put themselves in? Because I know these guys have been at least someone has.
Man, so one of the contractors that I'm working with, he's out of San Diego, and he is a handyman. And if you check out my profile, you'll see his name's Charles, and he's got like some testimonials and stuff. And he made his first payment into the program, right? So we have a payment strategy that helps them kind of get into there, so it's a little bit more accessible. And he made his first payment into the program, and then a day or two before the call, I kind of shifted to him, hey, we're building out a self-guided program. And he's like, it's not really what I'm looking for. Like, I'm like, well, it's not going to be for you. We're building it out. Like, we're improving things. We're making things better. And so he messaged me. He's like, yeah, I think it canceled his first meeting. So his first meeting, he canceled it. And he's like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. And I'm like, dude, what are you going to do? Like, you've been already trying to do this. Like, like you've already made the commitment. You've already made the payment, right? You have a call booked tomorrow. What the fuck are you going to do if you just keep doing the same thing you're doing? And he's like, yeah, okay, sure, let's do the one call. And we did one call. He's been there every single time since, on time. He's booked more calls. We've had more conversations. And what has transpired with his business, he went from a little handyman company. Now we're working him through doing larger projects, getting him to understand that he can grow his business at a whole nother level. I mean, that is a huge experience for him. Like, his business will never look like it used to look, ever. What he's learned every call is changing his life on how to operate his business. I had another call with a guy out of Jersey. He's got some really cool products, and I mean, he has no ego. he has invested in lots of coaching and mentorship. And it's a completely different process working with him. He's like, hey man, like I'm struggling with this problem right now. I'm trying to organize my cash flow. Like, how do I manage cash flow? And I kind of went through a scenario. I was like, okay, well, you could do this, this, and this. This is how I position this. You need to change this. You need to do this. And like, we just had an improv call one day, and that was game changing. And then he implemented things that I taught him immediately into his business. Next week, he calls me. He's like, man, I really appreciate our call. Like, I've got my cash flow back on track. Everything's, a lot more in line. I feel less pressure. I'm more organized. Like, it's like the 30-minute conversation is life-changing because I've already went down the fucking maze, right? I've already went down the journey that he's trying to figure out where to go. And it's just easier, no ego, pick up the phone, call somebody that's already done it, have a conversation with them. Oh, okay, I'll try that. You don't need to do it. It's just a suggestion. That's the cool thing about coaching. It's like, I'm not saying you need to do this. I'm just suggesting that this might be a good avenue for you to go down.
It's crazy, man, because that one little thing that you told him is probably worth the entire investment this guy's giving you. Just because it's like the hand holding thing, man. Like I do not think I would have made it this far in my business if I didn't have the mentors that I had, specifically my uncle. My uncle was a mentor with me for I don't even know how many years, so many years. I would not be anywhere near where I'm at right now if he wasn't there to help bounce things off me. We would bounce things back and forth. We would do the role playing thing like you're saying. We would go through scenarios like that. That's worth so much, and it's the guy that's able to implement it right away. That dude, you've changed that guy's life forever, man. I guarantee you did.
Oh, and we keep booking calls. They don't come back for no reason, right? They're there because they appreciate what we're doing. I said earlier on the call that I didn't have any mentors. Actually, today is my grandpa's 105th birthday if he was still alive. Crazy part is he was a level of mentor for me. I would always like cut the grass and do random things, and he was like, "You got to slow down. You got to take your time. You got to make sure the lines are dialed in." And I was just like, "Fuck! I just give me my $5 so I can go buy my chips across the street."
Yeah.
And what he taught me was like patience will produce perfection, and perfection is a much better feeling than looking at shit, essentially, right? And so just taking a little bit slower approach, it was just unique. And so throughout my journey, I had my grandpa, it's a couple of uncles, a couple other people that were always there. But the point is that you get to a point where you extract everything you can out of the mentor, the person in your life. You need to find another one. You need to keep finding other mentors. I had a call with a 12-year-old out of Ontario. He started building these little shelf systems, and his dad was like, "Hey, would you have like a call with my son?" I was like, "Sure, man. Let's do one call." I know Dan's doing a lot of this, like teaching the youth, and I really enjoy teaching the youth as well because I didn't have a dad in my life, and so my grandparents and these other people were those support mechanisms. But like, I had a 30-minute call with this kid. I dropped so much information in front of him that for sure it will change his life. I was like, dude, you will be a monster. If you find people like me in your life and you hold them with you through your whole journey, you're in grade 7 right now. Imagine what grade 12 would look like if you worked alongside me every day and you actually showed up and applied what I'm going to teach you. And I never had that at a young age. So if we can hit these kids earlier on, society will change indefinitely because these entrepreneurial spirits, let's call them, they're just thirsty for knowledge. They want to learn. They want to learn how to get from point A to point B more efficiently than ever. And I mean, those are good feelings. And I love the space that I'm in. It's completely different than building a house or renovating or doing whatever. But I mean, I'm just teaching everything I've already learned in my journey. So it's super rewarding and fun.
Dude, that's so sick, man. Like, it's funny because that 12-year-old kid, like, honestly, if he continues at the speed that he has the ability to continue at, like, he'll be making more than his teachers in high school. Like, you're gonna
he'll be a freaking monster.
You're gonna out earn the teachers, man.
Monster.
Like, that's insane. And it's such a
it is really hard to understand the value of a coach or a mentor. Like both my kids play competitive hockey, and so they've had coaches in their life. And right now I'm in a position where it's like my son's 16, and I'm like, and I didn't realize the value of having I'm a supportive father, all these things, all that stuff matters, but like he needs to find somebody else that is his person, that pushes him, that does other things, because those conversations are so powerful. And I think that we need to, as parents, really help our kids find mentors earlier on in life. I know that I would work with a couple kids for sure in my journey, probably at a very reduced rate, because I just want to see what the reaction would be like. But I think if we can get to the kids at a younger age, I think it's huge, and I'm hoping to help find my kid somebody like that for sure.
That's insane. That's amazing, man. I love that. It's important to have somebody that's not family related, especially dad, right? Because it's dad and his mom.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you're too close to the person. You almost don't want to do what they say just because you've got like a
because you're being
yeah. It's like sometimes I'll start doing something new, and my wife will be like, "I've been telling you to do that for months." He's like, "Yeah, but Dan told me to do it." She's like, "Fuck, I've been telling you that for months," you know.
No, and that's the funny thing. It's like they know it's probably better, but they just avoid it because they're just like, something's just telling me I shouldn't work with you, Dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you probably should. You probably should.
It's funny you just
probably listen.
It's funny to me that because you just brought that up. Like I literally 5 minutes before we jump on this call, I sent off a syllabus to the college because I'm going to be doing like a mini course there for all these guys that are coming out of college and going right into hopefully running their own businesses. Because when I was in college for the woodworking program, it was all these guys would come in and it was all the employers, the cabinet shops, the stair guy, the whatever, the this, the that. And they would come in there trying to like scout employees. And I was like, I don't want to do any of this. I just want to make my own stuff. So like I want to show these kids that like there's another option. You don't have to go work for somebody else. So you can literally start right now. You have access to a full-blown wood shop in college. You're paying to be here. Use this stuff. Start finding a way to make money right now in the school. So by the time you're done school, you got a portfolio to go make your own money. It's like,
I love that. I also didn't recognize that, dude. If you would have found me right in high school, I was crushing furniture. Like one of the tasks in one of the semesters was like build an Adirondack chair.
Yeah.
Right. I built like 30 of them. Like I was building one every class, and they were just donating them, generating revenue for the school. I was like, I didn't even recognize that I was like mass producing a product while I was at school, not getting paid.
Yeah, not getting paid. That's amazing.
Not getting paid. No, man, that's cool. I love that you're doing that. I think that'll be fun. That'll be great.
So talk to me a little bit more about like the end result of the work that you're doing. Like I know for me, I want to change the way the people in the industry and the people buying from the industry see the industry, right? I want to change the way it's viewed, furniture building, handmade this, handmade that. Like I want to produce awesome, incredible leaders and people with the work that I'm doing now, with the fulfilling thing that I'm doing, helping people through their journeys. Like, what does it look like in a perfect world for you, for these people that you're coaching? Like, what is the perfect scenario?
I mean, 80% of contractors fail. That's the straight up fucking truth, if not higher, right? And they fail because they don't understand what to do next. And the objection or the challenge becomes so great that the risk doesn't seem like it's worth the reward anymore. And they're like, I'm just going to go back and work for Tom. Right? And so the grass appeared to be greener on the other side, but it just looks not so green. And the reality is it's probably a lot greener if you just understood what you're good at and you had somebody alongside you to say, hey man, you shouldn't go down this path. You should go down this path. In our program, the program that we have is called the Builder Accelerator. And so what we do is I don't care where you are in business. I don't care what kind of business you are. If you're a renovation contractor, electrician, a plumber, a painter, a drywaller, if you're in construction, there are 3 pillars to success. You need to understand what you're good at. You need to build a strategy around what you're good at, and you need to implement it. And what you need to do is you need to find somebody needs to work with you to extract what you're truly good at, because your ego is going to tell you that you're actually good at this when you're probably not good at it. And if you're not getting called out, then you're not actually going to truly understand, hey, I fucking suck at communicating, so I shouldn't be communicating with my clients anymore because that's why my business is failing. And so we help them create a strategy that understands what they're capable of doing, and then we build a success plan around that. And then once we've got this success plan around that, building those roots in their community, then we help them implement all of this with our educators. So we have about 15 different educators in our community. They have every skill specifically for construction from all over the world. We've got people within AI that can optimize with AI. We have CPAs and CEPAs, so it's like a certified exit strategist for construction. They're just for construction. We have sales masters just for construction. We have web developers and SEO strategists just for construction. And all these people are like the best of the best in their industry that are all populated into one place. So instead of you coming thinking that you're just getting me, I'm just like the cherry.
You're the pretty face.
Let's call it. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm just the guy. I'm the guy that's there, but there's so many other people in the community that provide so much more value. And really, like, I'm doing this all because when I got into this, I didn't have any of that shit. If I would have had all that shit, I would be completely different position of life now. Completely. And like the one-time investment of X amount of dollars, right? Like our package is offered at $6,500. We have like different deals and different weekly offerings that, make it manageable, but it's going to be worth 20 grand. Like at some point it's going to be worth so much because we will be significantly changing your construction business. Like what if you went to university to get a degree in becoming a doctor or a nurse or whatever? You can't do that. There's no degree in how to become a successful contractor.
Nope.
It's just like you can go get a business degree. You can go learn how to do this shit over here. You can go learn how to do that shit over there. You bring all this together, you're freaking confused and you fail. So it's like, instead of doing all that, you spend a little bit of money on yourself. You work with like-minded people and we change your fucking life. That's what we do.
I love it. That's powerful shit, man. And like, I wish other people could see what it's like sometimes. Like it's kind of hard to paint a picture sometimes when you're in the shoes that you're in. Just say like, I just wish you could see what I see in you. And I've already experienced that a few times, and it's like, man, I wish you could just see from the outside of what your potential actually is, because I want you to get there so bad because you could change the world, and I want to be able to. I want to help people see that in themselves. Like you said, find their superpower. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's very similar to the transaction with the client, right? If you back all the way up to, in your life where you're in front of a client, right? And you're trying to sell them on a piece of furniture. I'm trying to sell them on a renovation. You have to sell them the margarita on the beach, essentially, in order for them to understand that the plane ticket to get there it's not even relevant right now. It's like, this is what the finished product would look like, and this is why you want it. And I think a lot of times, like one of the things that I was the best at was helping my clients understand what the vision of their product would look like at the end, and trying to paint a picture for these contractors to help them understand what their potential is just the first step. They have to be willing to take action. Like the client has to be willing to take action to hire you, to work with you, to want to, engage in this. But contractors need to be willing to take action. And what do they have to lose? Like literally, what do you have to fucking lose? Continue to do the same shit you've been doing that hasn't been working for X amount of time, or try something different. Invest in yourself, try something different. And if at the end there's no result, then you've learned something. But the reality is there will never not be a result. Like You're working alongside people, even in your own product. You're working alongside people that have already done all this shit and they know what they're doing.
Right.
And they'll help you get there faster.
It's like, it's one of those things, right? Because sometimes progress is in the form of crossing something off that doesn't work. It's still progress. The more things you cross off, that didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work, you are still making progress. You will eventually find the thing that works.
100%. Yeah, and that a lot of people are they can't see that. They just can't see what they have to cross off or what they have to do next.
Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's just overworked. Man, people get overwhelmed within their own mind, within their own world that they create, the cage that they built themselves in. And I hope that you get to change all these guys' lives, man. I hope like all these contractors that are working with you and finding you right now, I hope that they get to open up the cage and they get to see what it's like to live a little different and kind of reap the benefits of a different type of contracting business. From what I'm getting from you, you're changing some lives over there.
Yeah, man. Everyone we've worked with, I haven't had anyone that I can't make an impact on. I think it's physically impossible if you have an open mind and you enter into something, understanding that you can grow and develop. There's no way you can't grow in our group. It's just physically impossible.
I love that.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Well, I think this conversation was insane. I hope everybody listening to this convo got some good little bits of gems from it. And if you guys want to find Brandon on Instagram, check him out at _contractor_coach. Check him out. Send him a message. Say you found him from the podcast here. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good day and go change the world today.
Let's go.
Let's go.